There you have it, folks. Freedom of free speech is no longer free. I was watching an interview yesterday with one of the Parkland kids, that David Holt kid, and essentially anyone that disagreed with his viewpoints on guns were murderers. If you disagree with people on politics, you could be deemed a Nazi. Is that the way free speech is supposed to work? Are we supposed to come out and tolerate speech from others unless we don't like it? If we don't like it, if it's different than ours, then it's hate speech. It's a controversial issue. You know, you got a lot of different views out there. You have gay rights, abortion, race, religion, sexuality, political correctness, police brutality. They're all battlegrounds. You get people out there that claim they're for free speech, unless the speech is different than their train of thought. Your position is different than where their position stands. This whole approach to our First Amendment rights has been muddled in these waters. Even the First Amendment scholars, they go out there, they find it hard to navigate. I find it hard to navigate. You know, the First Amendment, it affirms our rights, the rights of people to speak freely, to worship freely, peacefully assemble, petition the government, to redress our grievances and have a free press. But here, the First Amendment does not permit the government to limit our speech in order to avoid some confusing chaos, to offend somebody. You can't speak if you're going to hurt someone's feelings. Safeguard the government's secrets that are out there. Protect government. Insulate judges and their undue influence. Discourage a bully out there. Penalize anybody that's hateful. Anyone that has hateful ideas. That's not what free speech is all about. There's a war. There's a war being waged out there against free speech. And it saddens me. There's people out there that believe that free speech isn't an inalienable right. For those who believe free speech is just a mere privilege that can be controlled, can be granted under certain circumstances, it can be censored. Free speech has become regulated, hasn't it? If it is for values that we oppose, that certain individuals oppose, corporate America is controlling it. In reality, you're only allowed to freak or speak if corporate entities like Facebook, Google, YouTube allow it. We've seen it with the crackdown just yesterday, the couple days, with YouTube over guns. If it's different than their ideology, it's no longer free speech. Protest laws, free speech zones, bubble zones, safe space, trespass zones, anti-bullying, zero tolerance, hate crimes, hosts of other logistical melodies out there dreamed up by politicians and prosecutors. All limiting our freedoms. All limiting free speech. On paper, with the Constitution, we have free speech. Technically, you can speak all you want. But in reality, it's different. The government officials, corporate entities, like I said, the YouTubes out there, they control it. So is free speech free, or is free speech no longer free? Is free speech instead regulated speech, controlled speech? Is that the ball game we're playing in now? Are we being stifled and smothered? Dissent won't be tolerated. Keeping the populace cowed in fear. Government censorship gave rise to self-censorship. You get compliance out there from it, something the government loves, isn't it? Ultimately, it foments into a sort of discontent, and the uprising begins. This is how you turn a nation of free people into a nation of dissent with an omnipresent police state. turn citizenry against each other. Because isn't that what we're really seeing now? And the government has anticipated this. They've anticipated civil unrest. If you look at all the major militarization of the police, the training drills, the martial laws that are being implemented, the training videos the Pentagon's putting out. And when the police state does come down, they come down on everyone. They don't discriminate out there. The last thing we need to do is play into the government's hands. We need to stop turning against one another. Stop trying to limit our constitutional rights, our free speech, our Second Amendment, everything that goes hand in hand. More patience, more tolerance, civic lessons on the First Amendment, on free speech. What it means to go out there and speak your mind, even if it offends somebody. There's nothing that says that if your speech is hateful, hurts somebody's feelings, that it can be taken away. We need to start thinking for ourselves again. We need to start talking to each other, listen, maybe shout less. If someone has a different viewpoint, just say, I can appreciate that, and move on. This is the ultimate power of free speech, as I read the other day in an article. And we need to get back to that. What say you? This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.